Hey everybody, welcome back to the Verdigris Table. I am Ryan Doyle, and I am helping new and experienced Dungeon Masters get ready to run the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, the adventure inside the D&D Starter Set. If you are brand new to Dungeons & Dragons, or you've been playing for a little while now, but this is your first time running the game, I would suggest you go back and watch the first video in this playlist where we went over some higher level concepts to make sure you and your players get the most out of this experience. If you've already seen that, or you've got some experience behind the Dungeon Master's screen, then this is a pretty good place to jump in, because we are picking up at Chapter 1, and we are hitting the ground running. Whether they fought those drowned sailors, or, we get to save that for later, the characters are heading up to Dragon's Rest first thing. And if I were a brand new Dungeon Master, I'd be looking at this thing worried about how I'm supposed to keep track of and differentiate freaking 12 distinct non-player characters in here. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is take 8 of these kobolds and treat them as a unit. Myla is important for a couple reasons, and she's the only one with wings, so easy enough to make distinct. But we're going to treat the rest as an interchangeable chorus of comic relief. Last time we called them the Greek chorus, more like geek chorus, am I right? If your players start asking questions to them individually, choose your favorite goofy names, grab a silly detail from the open book in front of you, but in prep, we are going to focus in on the 4 characters that really count here: Runara, Tarak, Varnoth, and Myla. Myla, the winged kobold, is going to be your merchant NPC, and the players are going to want to get to know her so they can trade their gold for stuff. She's a kobold, so I see her as like not having a storefront so much as just like piles of stuff in her little cell in the middle of A1, which she has to like go digging through to get what the players want. Myla also has 2 brothers, recognizable as they are also flying kobolds, and it doesn't have to be the first time the players interact with her, but Myla is going to mention Mech and Mim eventually. They're going to turn up at the end of this adventure with Sparkrender, the big bad evil guy, or the small bad evil dragon, and name-dropping their sister could make them more likely to be cooperative with the player characters when the time comes. After all these kobolds are crowding around our heroes for a minute, bombarding them with questions and providing an opportunity for them to say a little bit more about their characters in characters, all these little guys are going to like quiet down and part to let the elder Runara approach. Now, Runara is the most important NPC on this island because not only is she kind of like the main quest giver here, she's also secretly a dragon. This fact, plus the fact that she starts off as indifferent, might make you want to play her as aloof and mysterious, and it's your game, you do what you like, but there's a good chance if you like overdo that mystery aspect, your players are going to decide they don't trust her, and that she's probably the big bad of this story. Everybody's on the lookout for the old Scooby-Doo reversal. So consider what I do. I make her really nice, but have her appear like a little otherworldly. Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange, maybe with a dash of Tilda Swinton in Constantine, right? Okay, she was secretly the bad guy in both of those, in a way, but you get what I mean. You could go the other way too and have her be like a Betty White type. The lesson to draw here is that the more important a non-player character is to your story, the more time you want to spend thinking about them, how you are going to present them, and how the player characters might react to them. So even though she is indifferent in game mechanic terms, she acts friendly to the PCs, inviting them to stay in one of the rooms in A1 as long as they like, as long as they abide by the peaceful principles of this little monastic community while here. Feel free to make yourselves at home and explore the grounds. Dinner will be ready in about an hour. Whether they fought the zombies or they fled, I bet the players ask Runara about them, and this is your chance to deliver the first plot hook for the Compass Rose and to mention that Varnoth witnessed the latest shipwreck. Now, the nice thing about having a powerful non-player character around is that they can swoop in and save the day, and we discussed last time how you don't want to do this until all is truly lost, but especially with new players, this is a good ace to have up your sleeve. But the bad thing about having a powerful non-player character around is that it raises the question, why don't they just fix everything instead of letting these level 1 nobodies risk life and limb? The answer in this adventure is that Runara has forsworn violence, and that's great until she's like, hey, thanks for doing all that violence. Can you maybe do a little more for us? By the way, I'm a dragon. that it might just be me. And as the dungeon master, you are going to think about this stuff way harder than the players most of the time. But when you find a plot hole or something that just like doesn't quite click for you, know that you are empowered to change things. You think Runara should have a different name, or that she should be a different gender, or actually 3 kobolds in a trench coat? Awesome. It is your world. Make it your own. For me, I like the idea that Runara is legitimately concerned that if she took much of any kind of action, it's going to attract an adult or even an ancient chromatic dragon to this island, which would be bad news for everybody. Having these adventurers dealing with these issues, including Sparkrender, once they've proven themselves, of course, is a great solution for her, especially with the King Killer Comet drawing near. Once the initial conversation with Runara is over, I would show the players the map of Dragon's Rest and let them explore. The winch house always feels like an opportunity for creativity or hijinks, but I've never actually seen players really interacting with it. I like to have Tarak in the kitchen preparing dinner. It feels poetic to me to have this like ex-poisoner being the community's best chef now. He's going to explain the situation in Sea Grove Cave and ask the player characters to go visit his myconoid friends. And hey, here, bring this sack of kitchen scraps. Mushrooms love composting. He also gives them 2 potions of healing, and I would really emphasize that if they solve this mushroom issue, he can cook them up another 1 or 2 of these potions of healing. But for now, he doesn't have the necessary ingredients. So no more healing potions until they return with heart cap mushrooms. And I bet the more gamer-minded in your group advocate for going to the Sea Grove Caves first before braving the ghost ship when it's presented like that. The adventure's built so that they can approach Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 in any order, either order, but that's one of the best features of this little starter set, actually. So definitely let them choose their own path. The rogue is going to recognize Tarak's Gilded Gallows tattoo. We mentioned it last time. Even if you're not using the pre-made characters, I would hand out the personal quests for them to the players. Providing these individualized connections to the story is going to take your game to a whole other level. I'm actually in the middle of working on a book to make it easy to give your players personalized connections to the adventures you are running or cooking up yourself by utilizing their backgrounds. It also does way more than that. There's a big old free sample of the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation on my Patreon right now. Make sure you hop on over to my website, sign up for our newsletter to be notified when the full book gets published. It's coming soon. So yeah, I love the concept, but in Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, I find these individualized quests are a little hit or miss. The road's link to Tarak is great on the story side, but from a game perspective, I think it could use like a little more payoff. So maybe Tarak cooks them up a greater potion of healing personally, if, they have formed a connection throughout the story. The wizard could also use a little payoff. It's not quite enough to find the place we want them to find anyway. There's a scroll of Hold Person in the secret library, and wizards love scrolls, so that's something. But I might add a scroll of Augury and flavor it more as like consulting the stars for guidance to like tie it tighter into the observatory narrative. The cleric's quest is okay as is. Never underestimate the value of like a dream or vision from the gods to move things along, and they are going to feel awesome when they turn undead. So make sure you like shine extra spotlight on that channel divinity moment when we get there. Plus they get like the cosmic thumbs up for lifting the curse if they do at the end of the Compass Rose section. Now the fighter and the paladin are the weak links here. I'd be looking for opportunities to have Varnoth give them a little extra attention, to tee up some role play and character development. Runara can also weigh in on their, personal concerns, obviously. And if you get to the end of the adventure and it doesn't feel like there was really payoff or like closure, consider lifting that +1 weapon from the Dragon's Hoard and have it be Varnoth's, and she bequeaths it to the next generation of heroes. And hey, maybe she's got 2 weapons, 1 for each of them if you have the 5 players. And if you don't like the idea of her like sleeping in this monastery with an armory under her bed, she might have these weapons stashed away somewhere, which just so happens to be where we want to send the player characters after we've completed this leg of the adventure. Speaking of Varnoth, if the players are exploring Dragon's Rest room by room, I would have her in the library studying military history or ethics or something. The library is the biggest space here and the only one with the door, so the players might realize it's different, but I think it's worth emphasizing that they can come here and learn things. Always be on the lookout for ways to deliver information to the players. Things that might seem obvious to you because you've read the book and watched these videos could be going over the player's head. They're going to forget things you've told them or misremember things. So don't be shy about repeating yourself or utilizing every chance to get the knowledge to the characters. You can even have the NPCs use the library on the player character's behalf. They tell Runara about the comet, go adventuring, and when they come back, Runara knows more about the implications because she looked them up. This is also a nice way to punt if you don't have an answer ready for something, right? The players ask about the deep dragon lore or the history of the Sword Coast and the Forgotten Realms, and you want a chance to look it up or make it up between sessions. Have an NPC say they'll research it and get back to them. Another trick is to say you're going to keep the game moving for now, but you'll send them a lore dump between sessions later. Now, I don't love the idea that Varnoth and one of the kobolds witnessed a shipwreck a few days ago, and no one so much as checked for survivors. Again, we're going to think about these things way more than the players are, but still. Like you, I watched some YouTube videos on Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, Dungeon Master Preparation, and I found J&J Tabletop's channel where Jake took Mech and Min, Myla's flying brothers, and had them go check things out. It's a great idea, totally stealing it because that's what good Dungeon Masters do. But we also give credit where credit is due. So check out that video and their channel here. It's good stuff. I love this idea that the brothers are kind of like troublemakers, so it seemed good to give them a project. And the fact that they've been gone for a few days, it's just classic Mech and Min. Nobody's too worried yet. This not only answers the question of, did this little community do anything to help, it also makes Mech and Min a little more important and sets up the payoff for when we find them helping Spark render building effigies on the other side of the island. The last location in Dragon's Rest is the open-air temple of Bahamut, overlooking the crashing waves and a glorious sunset. Now, this adding a d4 to saving throws is almost definitely never going to come up here. So in my game, if a character prays or makes an offering to the Platinum Dragon, I cast the spell Aid on everybody. An extra 5 hit points can actually make a big difference, especially in these early levels, and I like that the 8-hour duration incentivizes them to think long and hard before taking a long rest mid-adventure. I would have Runara come up into the temple behind them after a few minutes of exploration to invite them to dinner. These dinners put everyone in the same room and lets them socialize. Anything you missed or want to reiterate, here is your chance. A note about roleplay for beginners out there, especially new folks who might have watched some actual plays with professional actors. It's great to do the voice and speak in character, absolutely, but that is not the only way to do it. It is also perfectly fine to say stuff like, my character compliments Tarak on his cooking and offers to help with the dishes, or whatever. This is also true for the Dungeon Master as well. You don't have to have a voice for every non-player character in this book ready. It's okay, you don't need to do any voices. I know some DMs who do the same voice for pretty much everybody, and others who just describe what an NPC says or does and keeps things moving. Experiment and find what works for you. As the sun is going down over Dragon's Rest and Stormwreck Isle, it would be great if, as we're closing out Chapter 1 here, we get the players to commit to their next course of action. Tomorrow morning, are they going to head for Seagrow Caves or the Compass Rose? Maybe just explore a little? Sure. They're welcome to just bum around Dragon's Rest too, but eventually they're going to have to go on an adventure. You've done your job as the Dungeon Master, presenting a couple plot hooks. Now it's the player's turn to do their job, buy in, and make a choice. Getting them to decide here will let you focus in and prepare the next leg of the adventure. Especially if you did a session 0 and character creation, your first game night is probably going to be winding down, and you can narrate the characters settling down for the night after dinner and leave them pumped for next time. If you have a lot of time left, you can definitely start the next leg of the adventure. Don't feel like you have to end at a chapter break. It's just nice. If you have a little bit of time to fill, you can do a little like debrief. I've been experimenting with stars and wishes. When I first heard about this concept, we were calling it Rose and Thorns. And hey, can we workshop a better name for this? Drop suggestions in the comments, please, because I think it's really a great thing, and we'll get more buy-in with better packaging for this very cool concept. So in this, whatever we call it, everyone goes around the table and mentions something they really liked about the session and express what they'd like to see in the future. It creates an open conversation and a chance for some constructive feedback. Maybe we're gonna do a whole video on this one day, but try it. Another option, if you have time left but don't want to start the next chapter, is to start them traveling towards the next location and insert a random encounter. I am a huge fan of random encounters done right. They're some of the first things I shared on the Dungeon Masters Guild, and you can check out and download every page of those for free from the full preview. Check out this comment I just got on them. Use the free preview of this PDF, and my players loved it. Came back and bought all of your random table PDFs. These are so easy to adapt into any game and are a great template for new DMs on how they can populate their worlds with interesting, interconnected encounters. Tremendous stuff. Thank you so much. The feedback really keeps me going. If you don't feel like supporting an independent creator, the book does give us 3, and I think they're okay. The owlbear one is probably my favorite, but make sure the players understand an owlbear is no joke. And even at level 3, this thing probably will mop the floor with them if it comes down to combat. It's built more like a puzzle than a fight, and there are plenty of ways to solve it. Distracting it with some rations, jumping on its back, riding it like a bucking bronco, snatching that whistle off its neck. Yeah, awesome. I will also accept running away and most other creative solutions the players come up with if they are remotely reasonable. The hot springs lets you drop a little lore on the island's creation, the volcanic activity here, and these fume drakes are fun. Plus it gives the players a little heal spot they can return to, and who knows when breathing underwater could prove useful. I like showing the fume drakes twice like this in this adventure because the second time they'll be ready for their death burst ability. I don't know if we need more kobolds though, let alone a third faction in this fairly small territory, so I might lean into using the other 2 encounters at least first. I'm also going to say, if you're a new dungeon master and want to dip your toes into the life-giving waters of encounter creation, this is a pretty good place to start. I like my random encounters to feel relevant, but this is D&D, baby. Anything could be wandering this island. Have fun with it. Whether or not you're using random encounters from the book, from my tables that you cooked up yourself, or hey, some combination of all 3, I would use the descriptions of traveling to foreshadow the themes and finale of this little adventure. We said this last time. Show the battle scars, the final resting places of the various dragons who fought here, and talk about the comet getting bigger and brighter up in the sky. Later on in this adventure, I'd even include a blue dragon wormling flying around, far out of range, but close enough to put a little fear and excitement into the players as we head for the climax. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We've got 2 chapters of adventuring up first. Next time, we're going to walk through Sea Grove Caves. I hope I see you there. Until then, be kind, have fun.